The first castle at Berkeley was a motte and bailey, built around 1067 by William Fitzosborne, shortly after the Norman conquest. This was subsequently held by three generations of the first Berkeley family, all called Roger de Berkeley, and rebuilt by them in the first half of the 12th century. The last Roger de Berkeley was dispossessed in 1152 for withholding his allegiance from the House of Plantagenet during the conflict of the anarchy, and the feudal baronry of Berkeley was then granted to Robert Fitzharding, a wealthy burgess of Bristol and a supporter of the Plantagenets. He and Eva Fitzharding were the founders of the Berkeley family, which still own the castle today. In 1153 to 54, Fitzharding received a royal charter from King Henry II, giving him permission to rebuild the castle. Fitzharding built the circular shell keep between 1153 and 1156, probably on the site of the former motte. The building of the curtain wall followed, probably between 1160 and 1190 by Robert, and then by his son Sir Maurice Berkeley. Much of the rest of Berkeley Castle is 14th century and was built for Thomas de Berkeley, 3rd Baron of Berkeley. Thorpe's Tower to the north of the keep and the inner gatehouse to its southwest, and other buildings in the inner bailey. Berkeley Castle was ransacked in 1326 by the forces of Hugh Despenser, the favourite of Edward II. Then in 1327 King Edward was deposed by his wife Queen Isabella and her ally Roger Mortimer, and placed in joint custody of Mortimer's son-in-law, Thomas de Berkeley, and de Berkeley's brother-in-law, John Maltravers. They brought Edward to Berkeley Castle and held him there for 5 months, from April till September. During that time, a band of Edward's supporters attacked, entered the castle and rescued him, only for him to be recaptured soon afterwards. It is possible that his captors then moved him around between several castles to make further rescue more difficult, before returning him to Berkeley in September. Some commentators have claimed that Edward's escape was actually successful, and conjecture someone else was later murdered in his place. This next clip is not for the faint-hearted, so maybe if you are squeamish, you should skip this bit. According to Ralph Holinshed's Chronicles, the 1587 edition, drawing on earlier sources, describes Edward's murder in detail. The murderers came suddenly one night into the chamber where he lay in bed fast asleep, and with heavy feather beds or a table being cast upon him, they kept him down and put into his backside a horn, and through the same they thrust up into his body hot spit, or some have said a plumber's instrument of iron made very hot, for which the passing up into his entrails and being rolled to and fro burnt the same, but so as no appearance of any wound would hurt outwardly might once be perceived. His cry did move many within the castle and the town of Berkeley to compassion, hearing him utter a wailful noise as the tormentors were about to murder him, so that divers, being awakened therein, prayed heartily to God to receive his soul, when they understood by his cry what matter meant. The account given to Parliament at the time was that Edward had met a fatal accident, but Holinshed and other historical sources record that great effort was made to keep the murder secret. The body was embalmed and remained laying in state at Berkeley for a month in the chapel of St John within the castle keep, before Thomas de Berkeley escorted it to Gloucester Abbey for burial. Thomas was later charged with being an accessory to murder, but his defence was that it was carried out by an agent of Roger Mortimer while he was away from the castle, and in 1337 he was cleared of all charges. In 1384, Catherine Lady Berkeley founded Catherine Lady Berkeley School. Such colleges were unusual in medieval times, and Lady Berkeley was one of the first in England to found a small, fully endowed school. During the First English Civil War, the castle was held by a royalist garrison and was captured in 1645 by a parliamentarian force under Colonel Thomas Rainsborough. After a short siege that saw the cannon being fired at point-blank range from the adjacent church roof of St Mary the Virgin, the garrison surrendered. As was usual, the walls were left breached after the siege, but the Berkeley family were allowed to retain ownership on the condition that they never repaired the damage to the keep and the Outer Bailey. This is still enforced today by an Act of Parliament drawn up at the time. The castle is the third oldest continuously occupied castle in England, after the royal fortresses of the Tower of London and Windsor Castle, and the oldest to be continuously family owned and occupied. It contains a unique four-poster bed that had been identified as a piece of furniture remaining the longest in continuous use in Great Britain by the same family. Enjoy the rest of the photo journey and thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.